In the early hours of March 18, 1990, as Boston slept off its St. Patrick's Day celebrations, two men dressed as police officers approached the side entrance of the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. What happened next would become the largest art heist in history, a brazen theft of 13 masterpieces valued at $500 million that remains unsolved to this day. 35 years later, the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum wasn't just any art gallery. Opened in 1903, it was the passion project of its namesake, a wealthy and eccentric art collector who transformed her Fenway Court mansion into a public museum. Gardner's will stipulated that nothing in the museum should ever be changed, no artwork sold, none purchased, and the arrangement of the collection must remain exactly as she left it when she died in 1924. By the 1980s, the museum was struggling financially. Despite housing priceless works by Rembrandt, Vermeer, and other masters, the institution lacked basic security measures. After the FBI uncovered a plot by Boston criminals to rob the museum in 1982, some improvements were made. 60 infrared motion detectors and 4 perimeter cameras were installed. But critically, no cameras were placed inside the building itself, as the Board of Trustees considered the cost prohibitive. The museum's security guards were paid just above minimum wage, and the only way to summon police was by pressing a panic button at the security desk. Unlike other museums, there was no failed, safe system requiring hourly check and calls to police. These vulnerabilities would prove catastrophic. It was 1:20 a.m. when the thieves, dressed convincingly as Boston police officers, pulled up to the side entrance in a hatchback. They rang the buzzer and told security guard Richard Abath they were responding to a disturbance call. Despite museum protocol forbidding entry through this door, Abath let them in. Once inside, the fake officers asked if anyone else was in the building. When Abath radioed the second guard, Randy Heston, to return to the security desk, the trap was set. The shorter thief told Abath he looked familiar and might have a warrant for his arrest, convincing him to step away from the desk and the panic button. Within moments, both guards were handcuffed. "Gentlemen, this is a robbery," one of the thieves announced. "Don't give us any problems and you won't get hurt." The guards were led to the basement, where they were handcuffed to pipes and had duct tape wrapped around their heads and eyes. The thieves even examined their wallets, threatening that they knew where the guards lived. "If you cooperate, you'll get a reward in about a year," they promised. It took less than 15 minutes to subdue the guards. The heist itself would last 81 minutes. The thieves' movements through the museum were recorded by motion detectors. At 1:48 a.m., they entered the Dutch room on the second floor. Their selection showed both knowledge and puzzling choices. From the Dutch room, they took Rembrandt's The Storm on the Sea of Galilee. 1633, his only known seascape, Rembrandt's A Lady and Gentleman in Black. 1633, the Vermeer's The Concert. 1664, one of only 34 known Vermeer paintings, and now considered the most valuable unrecovered painting in the world, the Govert Flink's Landscape with an Obelisk. A 1638 A. Chinese bronze Gewessel. Strangely, they left behind Rembrandt's valuable self-portrait. 1629, though they took a small postage stamp-sized Rembrandt etching titled Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. The thieves then split up, with one heading to the short gallery where he stole 5 sketches by Edgar Degas. They attempted but failed to take a Napoleonic flag, though they did steal a bronze eagle finial from its flagpole, an item of relatively little value. From the Blue Room on the first floor, they took a Duard Manet's Chez Tortoni, c. 1875. Art experts were baffled by the thieves' selections. They left behind more valuable works, including paintings by Raphael and Botticelli. The total value of the stolen art is now estimated at $500 million, with Vermeer's The Concert alone worth more than $200 million. When the morning shift guards arrived, they discovered their colleagues missing and called the police. The FBI quickly took over what would become one of their longest-running art crime investigations. The case was challenging from the start. The thieves had taken the security videotapes, though they left behind the hard drive containing motion detector data. They left few fingerprints, and what evidence remained was contaminated by the dozens of people who walked through the crime scene that day. The empty frames where the masterpieces once hung remain on display at the Gardner Museum to this day, a poignant reminder of what was lost and a symbol of hope that they might someday return. Over the decades, the investigation has focused primarily on organized crime, figures connected to the Boston Mafia, which was in the midst of an internal gang war at the time of the heist. Bobby Donati. One compelling theory centers on Robert Bobby Donati, a known associate of the New England mob. According to art thief Miles Connor, Donati visited him in prison before the heist to discuss stealing artwork as a bargaining chip to negotiate the release of Vincent Ferrara, a capo in the Patriarca crime family who was facing lengthy prison time. Donati was found murdered in the trunk of his car in 1991, just a year after the Gardner heist. Some investigators believe he organized the robbery but was killed before he could reveal the location of the artwork. The Merlino gang. Another theory focuses on Carmelo Merlino and his associates from TRC Auto Electric, a repair shop in Dorchester that served as a front for criminal activities. In 1992, informant Anthony Romano told the FBI that Merlino was planning to return the Gardner paintings to claim the reward. When the FBI set up a sting operation in 1999, they caught Merlino and his associates planning a different robbery. During plea negotiations, they were offered leniency if they could help recover the Gardner artwork, but none provided useful information. Robert Bobby Gentile, a Connecticut mobster with ties to the Philadelphia Mafia, became a key person of interest in 2010 when the widow of Robert Garante, another mobster, told the FBI that her husband had given Gentile 2 of the stolen paintings before his death in 2004. The FBI searched Gentile's home multiple times but found no artwork. Gentile, who died in 2021 at age 85, maintained his innocence until the end, telling reporters, "They can say what they want. I don't care. It doesn't bother me." In a 2021 interview, Gentile dismissed claims by Aline Garante that her husband had handed him a painting at a hotel in Maine as an out-and-out lie, calling her crazy and bipolar. Other suspects have included the Rickaboth, the security guard who let the thieves in, though he has consistently denied involvement. Brian McDivitt, who had previously attempted to rob the Hyde collection in New York. James Wetty Bulger, the notorious Boston gangster, though the FBI eventually ruled him out in 2013. The FBI announced they were confident they had identified the thieves as members of a criminal organization based in the Mid-Atlantic and New England, but added that both suspects were deceased. They believed the art had been moved through Connecticut and Philadelphia, eventually making its way to the criminal underground, where it may have changed hands several times. The statute of limitations for the theft itself expired in 1995, meaning the thieves can no longer be prosecuted for the robbery. However, possession of the artwork remains a crime, and the FBI continues to investigate. The museum initially offered a $1 million reward for information leading to the recovery of the artwork. In 1997, this was increased to $500 million, and in 2017 it was doubled to $10 million, the largest private reward ever offered for stolen property. Anthony Amore, who has served as the Gardner Museum's Director of Security and Chief Investigator since 2005, remains optimistic. "I think that one day the paintings will be recovered." He told reporters on the 35th anniversary of the heist, "The only thing in the world I'm interested in is getting the paintings back on the wall." The Gardner heist has left an indelible mark on the art world and popular culture. It has been the subject of books, documentaries, podcasts, and even inspired fictional works. Netflix's 2021 docuseries, This Is a Robbery, brought renewed attention to the case. The empty frames still hanging on the walls of the Gardner Museum serve as a haunting reminder of what was lost. According to Gardner's will, nothing in the museum can be moved or changed, so the frames remain exactly where they were, waiting for their paintings to return. The theft represents not just a financial loss, but a cultural one. These masterpieces were meant to be enjoyed by the public for generations. Instead, they've been hidden away for over 3 decades, their condition unknown. As Amord noted, Isabella Stewart Gardner made this as a collective work of art. And when pieces go missing, her collective work of art is left less than whole. 35 years after that fateful St. Patrick's Day weekend, the Gardner Museum heist remains the largest unsolved art theft in history. The FBI continues to follow leads, and the museum's offer of a $10 million reward still stands. Were the paintings stolen to serve as a get-out-of-jail-free card for mobsters? Were they commissioned by a wealthy collector who wanted them for a private collection? Or are they simply hidden away, waiting to be discovered? The empty frames hanging in the Gardner Museum remind us of what was lost and what might still be found. Somewhere out there, Rembrandt's stormy seascape and Vermeer's silent concert may still exist, waiting to return to their rightful place in one of America's most unique museums. Until then, the mystery of the Gardner Museum heist continues to captivate our imagination, a perfect art crime that remains, after all these years, unsolved.